From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven Erlandson, takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Welcome from Oklahoma to Adelaide, Australia, from Big Bend, Canada, I believe it was called, Great Bend, Canada, all the way down to Sao Paulo. We have guests in from all over the world tonight, including Germany and around the world. It's great to have you here. You have tuned into the Badass Counseling Show podcast. I am joined in studio, not even in the booth, but I am joined in studio by two people. Rob the Rocket, the tech master. Rob, what say ye?
I'm good. I'm very, very well. Thank you, Sven. You're pretty hip about pop culture. If somebody said to you, hey, Sven, how about Netflix and chill? Would you know what that meant?
Netflix, I know the station. I don't know what chill is.
Netflix and chill. It's an expression.
Netflix and chill.
Netflix and chill. Yeah. Do you know?
So just turn on Netflix and then relax and chill out?
You know, Casey, do you know?
No, but I'm going to go home and do that right now.
See, like we think it means watch a movie and take a nap.
Right.
But if you are up on current language,
which
it
I
means,
clearly am not.
Let's get it on.
Oh, Netflix and chill.
Yeah, that's what it means.
Really?
I just thought you should know that in case someone suggests it to you. You won't watch a movie and take a nap.
All right.
And I don't need any Netflix in order to chill.
Okay, there we go.
Or take a nap. Well, I am also joined in studio. You can hear her great voice. Casey is out of the booth, sitting next to me in studio. Casey, what say ye?
Well, thank you for letting me out of the booth.
We found the key.
It's nice to be out in the world. No words of wisdom. That's your job.
All right. Let's get after it then. I am here to take your questions, and I've got help. So I'm going to be turning to these guys. You know I already turned Rob. Don't take those off. You're staying here, Casey. She's like, I want to go back in the booth. All right. So here we go. We're starting off with TikTok user who says, how should I approach helping my adult children who are struggling in finding purpose? If someone's struggling in finding purpose, very often what it is they've got more voices in their head than their own. And that means that they're potentially feeling pressure from one or multiple sources, including society, a parent, favorite uncle, teacher who was particularly influential in their life, or coach, something like that. But they've got people saying, well, you should this, and no, you can't do that. Or they've got somebody's voice who's not even present in their life anymore. It can be a dead parent, for instance. But they're answering to those voices, and all those other voices are getting congested, and they can't hear their own voice. And nothing motivates a person more than hearing their own voice clearly, because they feel it. It's like, no, this is who I am. This is what I want to pursue. So if you've got adult children who are struggling to find purpose, it's because they're still trying to either A, please some people, or avoid the criticism of some people. So the biggest thing you can do is go, first of all, before you go to your adult child, but you're going to go to your adult child, first of all, sit down with a pad of paper and a pen yourself and bullet point all the number of things that you think might be in your kid's head that you have put there about their own worth or about what they should do with their lives. My own mother used to use the phrase, I don't want to should on you. In other words, she wanted us to be our authentic selves. And so make that list of all the ways that you think you may be influencing the adult child that may be corrupting their own path, or where you think, well, wait a minute, that's my values, that's not your values. And you need to ask yourself the question, are you okay with your child, your adult child, having values other than yours, engaging a path that you may not like? And who cares? It's their life. And then what you do is you take that list and you go to your kid and you say, I want to talk about this. Would it be okay if we talked about this? Because I realize I may be influencing you, or things I may have said or done may be influencing you and causing you to not be able to hear your own voice. And then let the child talk. Then shut the fuck up and let the child talk. And don't be quick to defend yourself. Let them talk. And own it. And if they say, yeah, you've always told me, you got to make $1, you got to make $1, you got to make $1, or you got told, you can't go into the arts. That's just dumb. You'll never make a living there. Or whatever the messages might have been. If they say it, rather than saying, yeah, but I was, rather than attempting to deflect or defend or deny or dodge, just sit with it. And then after that, then you need to not attempt to defend or deflect or deny or dodge. You say, I need to think about that. First of all, I'm sorry for corrupting your ability to hear your own voice. And then second of all, you need to go back in your own journaling and write about that. What was going on inside of you? Because what's going to happen when they're articulating things that they feel where you may have disappointed them or you may have let them down or put voices in there, your own emotions are going to come to creep up. And you're going to feel yourself maybe getting angry, getting defensive, getting sad. You need to keep your emotions out of it because it's not about you. So many adults that I get, that I work with, or adult kids or what have you, say, I go to my parent and I express my stuff, and it's always about mom. She's always like, "Oh, I'm such a bad parent." Or I go to my dad and he'll just say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, God, I screwed up so badly." They make it about them and their feelings. Let it be about your adult kid and their feelings. That means you've got to find a way to flush out your own feelings so they're not corrupting the healing process. And then you need to own that, the stuff that they've said, and then maybe go back and have follow-up conversations. But the goal is to begin to remove your voice from inside of them so that they can choose who they are and what voices they choose rather than yours just in there because you got it in there first. All right, next question. What have we got? When do you know to divorce? Now, I'm going to be very honest with you here, Erica, and this is a great question on Facebook. In studio right now, we have Rob, we have Casey, we have me, and between the three of us, and we have a visitor who prefers to be anonymous at this point, but between the three of us, we have probably, 4, 5, 6 divorces. I've got 2. How many do you have, Rob?
But who's counting?
But who's counting? Okay, then we won't count.
More than one.
No, more than one. So I'm going to turn it over to Casey. Do you want to take a poke at this? Or Rob, you want to take a poke at this? When do you know to divorce? When did you know? Any thoughts? And if not, I'll take it. I'll run with it. I'm just opening it up.
The pain got too great for me, and I was very hesitant. But when I finally decided this is what I have to do for my own survival, essentially, it took a while to come to that realization, but for my own survival, the truth is that I had the papers served and I didn't want to be home at the time. And so I drove to a parking lot of a bank. I remember this, and it's a long time ago. And I called my therapist. And my therapist said to me, "You must be in great pain." And until he said that, I didn't even realize it. So interesting to me.
Wow.
That's my story.
And isn't it fascinating how someone else can articulate something that they see and it's like, oh, wow. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Your job, but yeah.
Yeah. Casey, did you say something?
No, I was just listening to what Rob said.
Okay.
I have nothing to contribute to
All right,
this.
fair enough. And I guess that would be my answer as well, is when do you know to divorce? I put it this way, and that is that if you don't know yet, it's not time. Because when you know, whether it's a divorce or ending a friendship or moving on to the next career or a major decision, really a minor decision too, but when it comes to major decisions, if you don't know yet, it's not time. If you're hoping or thinking or trying to figure out or wondering about, it's not time. Because when it is time, it's a sense of certainty that hoping and wondering and figuring out and thinking about don't bring. The sense of certainty, and you guys have heard me say it before, and Rob actually said it beautifully, and this is it. In my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, when I talk about the fucking point, where it just gets so bad that all of a sudden today I have clarity and courage to do things that just yesterday I didn't have the courage to do, and I didn't have the clarity of what it is that I wanted to do. So if you're unsure yet, and I know this is going to sound a little crass, but it's not intended to be that. If you're unsure yet, let it go, because I guarantee your pain is going to get worse. And how can I possibly know that? Because this stuff doesn't magically heal itself. If you're at the point where you're already thinking about divorce or have been for some time, and now it's just a matter of when, your pain has gotten so bad, but it's only going to get worse. It's not going to magically fix itself. And just for the record, it's rather fascinating. There was a study done, I want to say about 10 years ago, but don't quote me on the dates, that determined that the average couple, just the average couple, has been having marital problems for 6 years before they seek therapy. Now, isn't that fascinating? Isn't that fascinating?
Considering
That sounds low to me.
I was only married for 6 years, so that means it began when I got married.
No, that's just the average. You could have been 1 year. It could have been far less. That's just the average. But it's fascinating to consider that very often we don't seek help. We don't do anything until it's gone on and gotten worse. But sometimes if we let it go so bad before trying to get help, then sort of the mountain of manure that is built up between us that we've been throwing at each other has gotten so big that it's not that it can't be removed, but we sort of lose our incentive or our oomph or our desire to fix it because it's just gotten so bad. But yeah, if you don't know yet, it's not time. It's just not time. And to Rob's point, when it's time, you just know. You just know.
Now, one of our listeners to the live stream says it was the hardest thing I'd ever done, but I knew I had to for my own health. Kind of echoes what I said. Also.
That's exactly right. And when that person says that it's the hardest thing you've ever done, anybody who's ever had to break up with someone that they love and care about, but for whatever reason the relationship is toxic or they're just not in love with them anymore. Anybody who's ever had to end, it can even be a friendship or a family relationship. If you've ever had to end something with someone you're not in love with, or with someone you love and care about, it's so hard. It's so hard. But again, when you're ready, you'll know. And it's a good thing to learn. It's a good thing to have to go through in life to end a friendship or end a love relationship with someone you genuinely care about. You want to know why? Because next time it forces you to really assess, is this a person I want to take the next step with, or to have another month with, or say certain words to, or whatever. You get more serious when you realize, wow, there's a price if I want to end this, that it's not just, I can just walk away without it being painful to anyone. So you sort of become a member of the human race when you realize your actions ending it is going to cause them pain, and you pain. With
the benefit of time and journaling, isn't it nice we can be a little lighthearted about it now?
Yeah, that's a good point,
Seriously.
Rob. It really is. And you know what? I love that point. I don't know if you guys really fully grasp what Rob said, but when you do the work, all that pain that you felt, let's say that marriage ended when you were 31, or you had to walk away when you're 44. But if you do the work, eventually you realize, there was growth in there. There was so much I learned from that experience. The other person, in some cases, the other person was a good person. We just didn't mesh, or not every case, but in a lot of cases, and that you develop a bit of a lightheartedness, and that this is part of the flow of life. The ups, the downs, the heartbreaks, the hard tasks. All right, so next question. SHH over on TikTok, and I'm live right now on YouTube and Facebook and TikTok. And if you want to catch the video of all of our podcasts, the only place you can get the video is on YouTube. But to follow our podcast, that's on Spotify and Audible and Apple Podcasts and so forth. It's called The Badass Counseling Show. This question from SHH. What's the difference between ending a relationship and discarding? If you're the person who someone just ended a relationship with you, in some ways it doesn't matter. There is no difference, because oftentimes you're going to feel discarded. No matter how gracious or how kind or how whatever. Sometimes if someone's leaving us, we feel discarded. But there is a difference in how you end a relationship where you can reduce the feelings in the other person of them feeling discarded. One, don't cheat to end it. I hope that goes without saying, but I know it doesn't. And a lot of people find it easier to cheat and blow up the relationship than to look another human being in the face and say, I need to end this relationship. And that's why you'll always hear me say that cheating is a coward's way out. And not just coward of don't want to work on it, but cowardice in terms of just ending it to a person's face. Because they don't want to feel like, I don't want to feel like the bad guy, so I'm just going to cheat. And I hope to not get caught, but somewhere in you, there's a chance you might. And, even getting caught cheating would be easier than looking that person in the face. Ending a relationship, not doing it. If you're breaking up with someone, ending a relationship with someone who would appreciate being told in person, who would appreciate saying it kindly, who would appreciate just giving them the straight truth, and not beating around the bush or whatever. It's thinking about how the other person would want to receive the news and then honoring that. versus discarding is maybe ghosting, just walking away, or doing it in a text, or what I call the slow walk. I am not a fan of the slow walk out of a relationship. It's where you say, we need to, let's just slow it down, or let's take a break for just a month. Let's just take a break for a month. Or, let's just do less together, or whatever it might be, even though they know they want to end the relationship. They know it's over, but they don't want to come right out and say it's over. So they're trying to supposedly ease you out of it by saying, oh, let's take a 1 month break or whatever. But it's bullshit. They're just doing it for themselves. They're trying to ease their way out of it without them having to incur flack. So the difference between ending a relationship and discarding, ultimately, as I see it, is how you do it. Do you do it with class? Do you look the person in the face and have the courage to end it with giving them the courtesy of an in-person conversation rather than ghosting them or just walking away or being rude or being mean? All right, next question.
I've got an interesting one here on YouTube, Sven.
Yeah.
For your consideration.
Please.
Is it okay for me to be a sounding board for my grandson? I do sometimes let him know we or he needs to talk to his dad.
Presumably the issue that the grandson has is with the dad.
I guess so. Or that the grandmother wants to say something to the dad. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But put the kid in the middle, I guess, is the question.
Yeah. Well, the question I would have is, first of all, how old is the grandson? That's the other issue. If the grandson is using grandma and grandpa as a sounding board and comfortable enough expressing issues, that seems to imply that we're not talking about a 6-year-old here. 6-year-old's not going to have that sort of consciousness to know I need to talk it out. If they're feeling neglected by dad, very often that 6-year-old is going to be silent and listen up. If it's dad that is causing the pain in this case. It could be 10, then maybe 12, something like that. Yes, and I think it's great that you're being a sounding board there, Grandma. I think that's wonderful. Allowing the child to talk out their problems. And you've heard me say it before, children want to be heard, not fixed, generally. And allowing the child to talk it out without feeling, well, you should this, you should that. Go ahead, Rob.
14 years old.
14 years old. Yeah, okay. A couple of things, Grandma. One, it's great that you're being the sounding board so that the 14-year-old has someone who is at least listening and the child feels heard.
Problems with stepmom.
Oh, so the problem isn't with dad. Oh, it's dad's wife, oh, wow. And presumably dad doesn't want to hear about it. See, this is a sticky wicket because very often when we bring that new step parent, when we bring our lover in and the lover, or what becomes in this case the stepmom, isn't treating the kids as lovingly as dad is, or the stepmom is feeling jealous or something like that, that the stepmom will fundamentally put the pressure on the dad, or genders can be, switched around, whatever, to love the stepmom more than the kids or do less for the kids. I'm betting your 14-year-old is probably feeling neglected by dad at the very least. And so fundamentally, the message that dad is conveying to his son is, you're not as important as my wife. Bad message. Bad message. Bad message. And if you are in a relationship with a wife who actually wants to distance you from your own children or wants you to give more love to her than you give to your own children, you're in a relationship with a very small person. Go ahead, Rob.
One little extra piece, she's sending these updates. Dad does, but grandson doesn't want to hurt his feelings. Grandson doesn't want to hurt dad's feelings. Well, you know what? This is a great lesson in life, and you can even say this, Grandma. Okay, here we go. Now, see, when we only get one sentence of a question, without more, I'm sort of going on what I got. So I'm going to go with it from here. No more new updates, Grandma. But thank you for those. What you need to convey to your grandson is your dad is an adult. Your dad's a big boy. And it is not your job to protect your dad's feelings. You don't have to be rude or mean, but you have every right to put your feelings out there. And if dad gets so butthurt with, son expressing his feelings, then dad's got some stuff to do. But this 14-year-old needs to begin to learn that their voice matters. Heck, we taped an episode of the show, counseling episode of the show earlier today.
And we were talking about a young man, 31 years old, who was in a marriage and a subsequent relationship where he felt tentative to express his real feelings. Well, you want to know why people do that in adulthood? Very often because they were conditioned to do so in childhood. So if a 14-year-old boy doesn't believe he can express his feelings in a relationship with his father, what do you think the likelihood is he's expressing his real feelings, wants, and needs in his relationship with his girlfriend or his boyfriend if he's gay or whatever, or later? So you have the power to short circuit the belief in that child that his feelings are cause pain to others and that he should keep his feelings inside. You have a man-shaping moment here, Grandma. You have a man-shaping moment. You have the opportunity to reshape a young man's belief in his own worth, the worth and import of his feelings and his needs and his wants by saying, your dad's a big boy and you have every right to say what your feelings are. And if you don't, then the child are protecting a father, and that's not a good habit to get into, because you're basically saying your feelings don't matter and your dad's feelings don't matter more than yours. You need to stand up for yourself and give him courage. Let him talk out all his feelings first. Let him talk it out. Don't try to fix him. Just let him talk it out. And then you can say, do you want a bit of input? Do you want, and if you don't, I'm not going to say anything, grandson. But if he says, yeah, say this, your dad's a big boy and he needs to learn to handle himself. You have every right to speak your feelings, kid. And if you don't start speaking them now, you ain't going to speak them later in life. And you're going to have kind of shitty relationships because you're going to be eating it while you always make their feelings more important than yours. Next question. How do I have a 3-year relationship with an avoidant partner? We only talk / hang out one evening per week. I'm going to assume you're saying, you're not asking me like, I really want to have a 3-year relationship with someone. How do I do it if they're avoidant? No, you're saying I'm in a 3-year relationship with an avoidant partner. How do I do this? How do I keep doing this? You wouldn't be asking the question if you didn't like it, obviously. If you were cool with it, there would be no conflict, no struggle, no need to ask me this question. Then you say we only talk or hang out one evening per week. The mere fact that you insert the word only says that obviously you want more, right? The simple question is this, Eleanor. Have you said to this person that you're in a relationship with that I want more? And now if you have not done that, then the onus is on you. Okay? Because how are they going to know that you want more time if you don't have the courage to just put it out there? And you can put it out there and keep loving on this person, but saying, I want more. I need more. For me in a relationship, I want more time. Now, if someone is avoidant anything, it's fear. It's fear. And this is where I get a little persnickety about the labels thing. Because just calling myself an avoidant this or a attachment that or what have you doesn't get down to what the real issue is. Why are you avoidant? Well, you're avoidant because you're afraid. And if someone's afraid of spending more time or afraid of investing more often than not, they're afraid of the pain of the relationship potentially ending or you potentially leaving them or the fear of revealing who they really are. And maybe you won't like me. And so you can tell the person, I want to get to know you more. I want to see more of you. I want more time with you. And saying to them as well, you don't have to do that. You don't have to spend more time with me. You don't have to open up with me. That's okay. But if I'm being really honest, I don't want to be in a relationship much longer with someone who doesn't want to open up. What bonds people is when we're being vulnerable, showing each other who we really are, our aspirations, fears, dreams, pain. That's what connects us. It's a revelation of self. It's a trusting of the other and receiving that trust and giving that trust. We all, to a large degree, want to be loved for who we are. But in order to be loved for who I really am, I have to show who I really am. And it sounds like you're avoidant, if I were to guess, is fearful of showing who they really are. And so what you can do in having a relationship is all we can ever do in any relationship is keep making our needs and wants known and our feelings known, owning the mistakes we make. And then if your needs are being met and you feel good, it's a good relationship and keep working on it. If your needs aren't being met, why are you staying? And that's my ultimate question for you, Eleanor. What is it you're afraid of in walking on from a relationship where clearly your needs aren't being met? And I'm betting you've probably articulated what your needs are. What keeps you in that relationship? I'm betting it's a fear. So then the question becomes, what are you afraid of? Is it fear of being alone? Well, then you've got some work to look at your own fears of loneliness and the messages of what that says about you.
Hey, Sven, I was so happy that you gave me a copy of your latest book, Badass Wisdom, and it's really terrific. I just wonder if you could share with us some of the other reaction you've gotten to it.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. Badass Wisdom is actually a 366-day daily meditational, all right? And it's intended to basically be, there's a hole in my love cup, but in daily form, in the form of a meditational. And I've had so many people saying already, I mean, it's been selling off the rack, off the hook. And I've had so many people saying, wow, you're kicking my ass every single day, Sven. It's like a new thought, a new quote, a little anecdote from life that you just find it in a different way. It's a different angle. I had a sports guy, a football guy that I had gone to school with, reached out to me. I went to college with him, played football in college. And he said, Sven, you're like a running back when they hit the offensive line and the hole closes up, and then they bounce over here to try to get through, and then they bounce over here to try to get through, or a soccer player trying to get through the enemy's defenses. You're looking for that hole, and then it's like every day you find some new hole, you find some way to peg me. And I thought that was pretty cool. It's like finding a way to get you down there deeper. That's the purpose of this book. Why? Because the healing is deep. That if you've been doing the work and you're still stuck, or you're not making the progress, or you're falling back into the same patterns, it's because you haven't gone deep enough. You haven't gone deep enough. Even if you think you've nailed the sources of your issues in life and you're still falling back into the old patterns, or you're still feeling bad, whatever it is, it's because there's something deeper that you haven't nailed. The purpose of Badass Wisdom is to get you way the hell down there and the real core shit. And the original book for helping yourself heal is, of course, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. This is when you want to level up. And that's what people are saying. Whole new level here, Sven. Rob?
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform, and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
We are back with more questions on this lightning round. Okay. Life all goes back to sports. I can see how sports can shape people. Love that comparison you use. Thanks, Lauren Marie. And the truth is, I have had world-class musicians and other creatives, dancers, and actors and so forth. And, many of them will say everything goes back to the creative process. So everybody that based on their point of orientation says, that really my creative process, playing the cello, is a metaphor for life, or in our case, sports, metaphor for life. And all of it's true. Rob, you got one?
I do. This is the one that hits close to home for me from my past. My son is 10. He's only ever known my husband as his father, but he's adopted. I'm terrified, in all caps, terrified to tell him and crush him.
Yeah, and my question would be, in what way do you believe it would crush him? So just so I've got it clear, she's only known her father. The child has only known his father, who is in fact his adoptive father, but he doesn't know that the boy does not know he was adopted. And the truth is, it's going to crush him. Whether it crushes him now or it crushes him later, it's going to crush him. It is. It's going to make him sad. It's going to disorient him. But the truth is, in the decades that I've been, had this issue, I've had dear friends discover it. One of my oldest friends from junior high school discovered, finally, just in the last year, met her birth mom. And she says it was the most glorious thing. And she had always known she was adopted and so forth. But then I've known people who have only discovered in adulthood, into their 40s, that they were adopted, and they were angry. And they had every right to be. It's like, why the hell didn't you tell me? Well, I didn't want to hurt your feelings. Yeah, I wish you would have, because it's killing me now. But when you tell them when they're 10, yes, they're going to be crushed, but they're still surrounded by the company of love around them. They're surrounded by your love. They've still got their friends at school. They still got the neighborhood kids. They still got, their grandparents. They still have this company of love around them. But when they're out in the world living in San Diego, when they grew up in, Fort Wayne, Indiana, and now they're in San Diego and they get the news that they're adopted, who do they have around them? Who do they have? Tell them now. Sit them down. And actually, you know what you should do? If you want to really do it right, if you really want to do it right, get your kid in counseling now, before you tell them. Get them a child therapist and just say, hey, this is good long-term to always have someone you know you can go to. And I just want you to start, opening up to this person and make a plan and talk to the therapist in advance and say in, 3 months or in 6 months, I'm going to tell my son that he is adopted. And you don't ever have to bring it up in session. I just want him to know that he has someone to go to other than me, other than family, to talk to. So you are laying the foundation. And parenthetically, anyone considering a divorce also, or a major life change that will affect the child, get the child in counseling before you lay the news on them. And for the record, if the child's under 18, I'm pretty strong on this. It's not optional whether or not they're going to be in therapy. It's not. It's like if they broke their leg, not optional that whether or not you're going to the doctor. You're going to the doctor. We're going to reset that leg, because I've seen the long-term effects of pain that didn't have a way out in children. So with this 10-year-old, get him in counseling, and then at some point you can coordinate with the therapist. Maybe you can do it in the therapist's office or right before his next session, or book a double session with the therapist, and then sit down with your child and just kindly, gently tell the truth. And I know you don't want to hurt the child, but trust me, it is going to hurt him far more later. Why? Because it's like, I believe in divorcing earlier with the child, not waiting till they're 18. You want to know why? Because they have the opportunity to normalize it sooner. They have the opportunity to recover sooner. They have a company of love surrounding them when they're 8, when they're 10, when they're 14. But when they're out 18 off at college or their first job out in Pierre, South Dakota, right? And they get the bad news that mom and dad are divorcing, they don't have a company of love. They're supposed to be spreading their wings, flying at full wingspan. And now the two people they love the most in the world are divorcing. Oh, yeah, that's brilliant. Wait till they're surrounded by their knucklehead friends off at college. That's great setup. Set that kid up for freaking failure. All right. Did we nail it?
Yeah, it was so important. Yeah, absolutely did.
Good. Can you explain how to set healthy boundaries? Yes. The not so simple answer, well, it's simple, but it's not quick necessarily, is you will not be able to set boundaries until you have gone into deep inside yourself why you are not setting boundaries. You will not be able to set boundaries until you have gotten out your own pain from your childhood and gone into why you had your no stolen from you. Your voice stolen from you. See, if a child is taught, and a teenager and a 20-something is taught that it's okay for them to have boundaries, it's okay for them to lock the door to their bedroom. It's okay. It's okay for them to say, you know what, Dad, I'm 16, and this summer I don't want to go on the family RV vacation to the Grand Canyon. I want to go with Tim's parents. They've invited me up to their cabin for 2 weeks. He's my best friend, and that's what I want to do. It's allowing the child to have a no. Now, there's certain things you're not allowed to no to. I'm sorry, you're on a team, you have chores to do. That's just part of it, or whatever it is. But teaching the child that they can have boundaries, even at a young age, that they don't have to go play at Sally's house if they don't want to go play at Sally's house. Not every time. The child has to learn, again, that they're playing on a team. But by its teaching them. And so if someone is in adulthood and they have trouble setting boundaries, it's that they were taught that their feelings, their wants, their needs don't matter. So you have to go back to that past. And that's what I wrote the book for. There's a hole in my love cup, to go back into that past and find those messages you got about yourself that taught you that your voice doesn't matter, because that's what's keeping you from doing so, from standing up and holding your boundaries. But you know what and then once you do that work, then you know what you have? You have the ability in the moment to say, this doesn't feel good. All a boundary is the realization that this thing that's happening right now doesn't feel good to me. And I'm saying stop. That's all a boundary is. And I'm not only saying stop, I'm not backing down from my stop until you do stop, apologize, and change the behavior. But I can't do any of the boundary stuff unless I know how I feel So people who say, oh, feelings don't matter. Well, good luck setting boundaries, Tiger. Yeah, good luck with that one. Either you're going to have no boundaries or your whole life is going to be a boundary because you're forever living in fear because you haven't actually gone into your own stuff. No, the purpose of getting out all the crud and all the pain, fears, and BS beliefs you were taught about yourself from your past is that now you can hear your own voice. Now you can feel your own feelings when something feels crappy, when someone's taking advantage of you, when someone's not apologizing, when someone's not taking the initiative, or whatever it is for you in your relationship that you need in order to feel good. If they're not doing that, you need to have the courage to say no. No. But that no, that courage is preceded by how it feels to me. I just did a TikTok on this about a month ago on how to spot a narcissist. All right. Or what I call an extreme taker. Go check it out. It's on TikTok. It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook. I think I'm wearing I'm probably actually wearing a different ratty old flannel shirt because that's what I wear when I'm out in the woods on my property. But go check it out, How to Spot a Narcissist, because it's really about this. It's about this notion of boundaries and how it relates to my own feelings. Next question. My husband lied to me all the time and always has. Ugh. I'm so sorry to hear that. To be in a relationship with someone that you know has been lying to you and still is lying to you. Shanna, you don't really state a question in there, but I'm going to do a very brief little comment and say, why are you in a relationship with someone who has lied to you all the time and still is, always has? Why would you want to be with someone that you know you can't trust? Someone who is fundamentally taking advantage of you by just saying whatever the hell they want to say because they want to get their needs met and they're not concerned about your needs, your wants, honoring you, treating you with respect. Why would you stay in a relationship with that type of person? And at what point do you realize life is running out? And I just want to be happy. And I want to be with someone who treats me the way I want to be treated. And if you want to do the healing for that, of course, that's my book. There's a Hole in My Love Cup. All right. How to address the physical consequences from stress of narcissistic relationship. And then she says in a subsequent sentence right after it, how do you heal the physical? So how do you heal the physical consequences from stress of a narcissistic relationship? Physical consequences implies that it's done damage to your own body, obviously, right? And so that means, first of all, you need to be talking to a doctor. If you have problems with your physical body, that's the medical profession. Go there. For starters, and you mentioned the stress of a narcissistic relationship, getting stress out of you, which is anxiety, fear, pain. I am a big believer in counseling. I am a big believer in journaling. I'm a big believer in writing letters that you don't send. And in my book, I teach a couple of other methods. But the way we de-stress is by flushing out all of the anxiety, all of the pain, all of the fear. Now, if you are still in a narcissistic relationship and still feeling the stress, that means this has to be a daily occurrence because you're accruing more and more stress each day, in addition to all the stress from the past. But what do we know? In life, we know that our emotions affect our body. My underarms start to sweat when I'm nervous, right? That's just one example. Our heart starts to beat faster when we have to stand up to someone. There's a physical reaction to an emotional feeling. Therefore, it stands to reason if I reduce my stress, the physical symptoms will reduce as well. And one of the ways we reduce stress is by flushing out the experience, the memory, the feelings that go with it, and everything else surrounding it, and keep flushing and flushing and flushing. And that's how you reduce it. But as far as the actual physical ailments, that requires a member of the medical profession because that's what they do, as well as homeopathic types. I don't want to rule them out and so forth. But the actual physical ailments, you go to a doctor for that. But as far as this episode, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Rob, any final thoughts at the end of this lightning round?
No, it's a shame we can't answer all the questions, but he did a good job there. Got a big variety today.
Good. On behalf of Rob in the booth, and we had right here, and KC, who was here but went back to the booth, have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by two-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.